This is Monday, November 10th, 2025. It's a red letter day at my house because it is the 250th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. Both my husband and I are Marine Corps veterans. It was 50 years ago this year that I became a Marine. So this is a very special day, and we fly the flag today, and tomorrow's Veterans Day. The flag will fly at our house tomorrow as well. I'm dressed in red, white, and blue in honor of the occasion. It's just a real special day, so I'm happy to be able to share it with you. And today we are going to look at Game On and some of the ways that I can help you get prepared so that as soon as we release the first month's pattern, and I'll give you that date shortly, you'll be ready to go. I will be looking for questions at the end. So if you have questions, write them in the comments. I won't go and look until I get to the end. And I will try not to tell you everything that I know because I want to keep this concise. These lives are recorded, so they're always available for you to go back and look at. I'm going to show you on our page where you can find them. They're always on YouTube. The Quilt Show has a channel on YouTube, so you can subscribe to it and always find them there. And there, if you're a Facebook person, they're also on the Facebook pages for the Quilt Show with Alex Anderson and Ricky Timms. So however you choose to watch them, they are there. And as I said, they're available all the time for you to look. Something else wonderful happened for me yesterday. I was awarded a Quilt of Valor, and it is right. I get mixed up. There it is. It's draped on that chair right over there. It was a wonderful gift. I do know some of the I know all the quilters who are in this Quilt of Valor group, the Liberty Peacemakers of Huntsville. And this quilt, I have been told, was made specifically for me. They said nothing shows love like partial seams. And those blocks all have partial seams. So well done, women. That's not for the faint of heart. It was a wonderful day, and I will have pictures up, and I'll write a blog about it later on. So let's get started talking about Game On. I'm going to switch to my document camera now so you can see. Let me just mention, if you're looking on the screen right there, right over there is one corner that's part of month 2 and 2 of the segments that are part of month 1. I have been working on this for the last few days. It is fun, fun, fun. It's so much fun. And I have the solid kits. So let's talk about the kits. That's important. And let's go to the document camera. Okay. I have the solid kit, and this is the paperwork that comes packaged with the solid kit. It's a glossy paper, so it's a little hard to see on the screen all the way, but this is the front page that shows you the exact fabrics that are used in the solid kit. This quilt is not as random as you might think. This pine and moss color here are repeated in exact specific places on the opposite corner. So here's the pine that's a point. Over here, it's a pine is a piece that's going the outside edge. The moss that's here is repeated over here. So it is very specific, and the amounts of fabric in the solid kit are very specific to that. I will talk about the print kit in a few minutes, but this is just talking about the solid kit. It is very important that you identify each of the fabrics. Also packaged with the kit is the color kit guide, your fabric guide, that shows you exactly what you have. There are 25 prints. This is in the solids colors, not prints. There are solids, and these are tilde solid basics. And there is 3.25 yards of white. The great thing about this is, besides the SKU number and the color picture, it tells you the yardage that was included. So you're able to use that to help you identify which fabric is which. And I will tell you, it's not as easy as you might think, because some of these fabrics can be they're close together, and it's a little bit challenging. So the great thing about this is I was able to use these yardages that, for example, this country red, there's 1/8 of a yard. There's only 3 pieces in the package that are 1/8 of a yard. There's a red one, there's the cappuccino, and there's this fern green. So between those 3, you pull out the 3/8 yard pieces, and you could easily identify which one is which. But when we get to some of these other colors, it can be a little bit more challenging. So the first thing I did, and this, I cannot recommend this highly enough. This is just so important that you know which fabric is which in the solid kit. I made a color copy of this page just on my regular home printer. I printed it in color, and I then cut that apart. I didn't cut this apart. I wanted to keep this together as one solid sheet so I could refer to it if I need to. But I cut these little pieces. I just cut them apart with a rotary cutter, and then I identified each fabric and I pinned these little swatches of paper to my fabrics. The pine, the moss, the fern green, the aqua. I'm not going to show them all to you, but you get an idea. I had good light and a couple other sets of eyes helping me to identify these. The blue sage, the soft teal, the sky teal, the dusty teal. Peacock was easy. First of all, it's a yard of fabric and it's a fairly dark blue. So you'll want to look at those. And when we get to, and I don't have them all laid out here, some of them are on the other table, but there's salmon, there's coral, there's country red, and then red. And the red is a half a yard, and the country red, as I said, is an eighth of a yard. So using that information off of this page, you should be able to identify every fabric that you have in the kit. And you need to do that day one before you start. It is absolutely important that you know which fabric goes where, because the pattern instructions with the solid kit tell you exactly which fabric to cut and exactly what size to cut them. And I am here to tell you there is not enough fabric to make this quilt twice in the kit. If you screw up and cut the wrong size piece, some of these little pieces, that like the quarter yard pieces and the eighth yard pieces, there is not extra in there. So you'll want to be sure you have the right fabric before you cut. Now, having said that, often with these quilts, I add my own fabric. So if I had something that was close to this and needed to replace a fabric because I messed up, that's what I would do. But I just wanted to show you that. Now let me talk about the print kit for a moment. I don't have it yet, and they are being shipped soon. They're almost ready. Let me just dump this. Okay. So let me back up for 1 second. If you think that you want a kit, the solid kit, they are almost sold out of the solid kits. Don't hesitate. Order today if you want a solid kit. If you want the print kits, those are coming in. They expect to have them shipped no later than the 1st of December. We don't even start the quilt till the end of December, so you're in still plenty good shape. The print kit, I have been told that, again, because it is critical that the correct amount of fabrics, the correct fabric in the amount that was cut for the kit is what you use to start this center. Those fabrics for the center in the prints kit are packaged in a separate little package within the total package of the kit. I hope that makes sense. You will have a package that says these fabrics are for the center. And you don't want to switch them up and say, oh, I think I'll put them out here. No. The ones that were cut for the center, if you get the kit for the prints, they are the yardage and the amount that you will need specifically for the center of the quilt. So that's what's coming in the print. If you want to use your own fabric, and that is completely fine. I love this so much, I'm making a second one of these quilts. And I pulled from my closet yesterday. So I'm just going to show you quickly what my fabric layout for the next one is going to be that I'll be making at the same time. Instead of brown, I'm using gold. Instead of blue, I'm using purple. This, where'd you go? You were here a second ago. Did I drop you on the floor? Oh, this one. This was kind of my focus fabric. I have a photograph of a rooster from Kauai. That's where the colors come from. But this fabric happens to have all of those colors. So I'm going to be using colors that are here in this fabric piece. There's rust, there's gold, there's hot pink, there's salmon, there's fabulous. And I have a sinful amount of fabric, and I'm going to use what I have. I also pulled my background fabric. You do need 3 1/4 yards of background fabric for either the solid kit or the print kit. I have grunge in my closet that I love, grunge fabric from Moda's Grunge, and that's going to be my background with all of these luscious fabrics. And I have a huge stack over here I'm not even going to show you yet, but I pulled probably enough fabric to make 3 of these because, heck, you don't want to run out, right? So I'm working from my fabrics. The fabric requirements document is getting ready to be uploaded to our website this week, I've been told. So you should see it soon. I will post on the forum when it's up so that you can find it quite easily. And I'm going to actually take you in a few minutes and show you our website so you can see where to find things. I want to back up for just a second. And for those of you who are new here, if this is your first time doing our block of the month, or you have done previous ones and now you're back, I just want to let you know how it works. Your membership as a star member in the Quilt Show, which is a worldwide quilting community, is $49 for a 1-year membership. And the membership starts from the 365 days. If you sign up today, November the 10th, next November the 10th, a year from now, is when your subscription will expire. You will get, however, all 12 months. We make sure if you join in the month of November, you are going to get access to all 12 months of the pattern. You won't have to renew just to get that 12th pattern. We make sure you get them all right from the beginning. So the only way you can get these patterns, they are not for sale. They are not for sale by the designer, Becky Goldsmith. She can't teach this year. She can't sell this year. She has given us exclusive rights to use it at the Quilt Show. We give it to you free. You cannot buy the pattern from us. The membership is $49. And one of the strong perks, benefits of membership, besides 18 years worth of wonderful quilt shows to watch, and a forum and classrooms and so many valuable things that are available to you as a star member of the Quilt Show, you get this block of the month free. When our year is up, all next year after December 31st of 2026, the rights return to the designer. And if you don't get it free from us, you can buy it from her. And these patterns end up costing $50, $60, $70 from the designer, depending on how they price them when they get the rights back. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Join the Quilt Show, encourage your friends, get this for free. And it's just a good way for you to experience the making this quilt in this next year. This is not a difficult quilt, but it will teach you a lot, and we're going to have so much fun. So now let's talk about some more supplies. Again, this week, in addition to the fabric requirements, you're going to get Becky's list of suggested supplies. And it's extensive, and it uses the methods, the kinds of things that Becky uses. The one question I keep getting asked is this foundation paper pieced? And it is not exclusively foundation paper pieced, but it is mostly foundation paper pieced. Becky uses vellum. So vellum is tracing paper. It's a lightweight paper. You can see through it and you can print on it. So this is just one of, this is for block 2. I'm working on block 2. So this is just one so you can see what it looks like. It's a little bit crunchy. It's a little bit crisp, but it's what Becky uses and it's what she's going to show you. There are, according to her information that we have that she wrote in the basic instructions, you need 66 pages of this paper in order to make the quilt this whole year. Obviously not the first month, but you will ultimately need that. Another option is newsprint. Newsprint is less expensive. Here's a ream of it that I bought off of Amazon. I use newsprint quite a bit for a lot of foundation piecing that I do. I teach several classes that have foundation piecing, and this newsprint is what I use to make patterns for students. So this, as I said, this is a ream of newsprint, and it's not real heavy. I mean, it's not very expensive. Now, the downside of anything other than vellum is you cannot see through it. The plus side of vellum is you can see through it. And Becky will be showing her method using vellum the whole time. Well, I've said that I'm making 2 of these. So for example, in the first month, we have 2 pattern page pieces, and we need 4 pages for each. So that would be 8 sheets of paper if I'm using vellum, and that is what I printed. Or since I'm making 2 of them, it would be 16 of them. Several years ago, with our block of the month that was Color My World, designed by Wendy Williams, I learned to use freezer paper for the foundation piecing, and it was not something that I was familiar with doing, but I learned how to do it from that quilt, and it has some real advantages. I like C. Jenkins freezer paper, and my local quilt store carries this. There's 50 pages in a packet. The advantage to the freezer paper is you only have to, you can use it over and over and over again. You do not sew through it. And I'm going to show you what it looks like because this is just so fun to see. This is the exact same page. Here it is in vellum. Here it is in freezer paper. Okay. with the freezer paper for month 1, and we're not going into the details of how to sew this. That's going to be in month 1 later in December. But here I have it, and I've written on. That's another great thing about paper. You can write on it. So this is freezer paper. I've got an FP on there. It tells me it's freezer paper, and this is freezer paper. Once I have the freezer paper, does the job to get the shape the way it should be. This is not a shape you would want to try to just cut out of regular, like with a template and then sew back together and make sure it was right. But with freezer paper, you do not sew through the paper. You align them in such a way that you can see what you're doing. You fold back, and we'll go all into great detail later when we're ready to sew. I'm just showing this quickly. I use the edge of the paper as my guide for sewing. And when it is done, when I have sewn, I take it off. And now here's the piece, and here's the paper pattern ready to use again. So I can make my second one of these quilts with just this pattern that I used for freezer paper. The same thing with this one. I pull this off. This is multi-layer. Let me put it where you can see it. We start at the bottom, we work our way. You'll have all those great details. The patterns are excellent instructions. And there are videos that you must watch. Yeah. So, but here this comes off completely. This is pattern part 1 for month 1. This is pattern part 2 for month 1. And I am ready to go ahead and make what I need for my print section with no additional paper. So that's the advantage to freezer paper. The disadvantage to freezer paper is you'll need to use glue. This waxy plastic coating on the back doesn't hold up for very long after you've used it once or twice. I will use these 20 times, not have to print another one. But you'll want to use some glue. So when I'm gluing on paper, fabric to paper, I like this. These are inexpensive. This is Elmer's washable. Make sure it's washable, not permanent glue, school glue. And I love this because it's purple. It's disappearing purple. And when I put a little smear on the paper, I can see where I put it. When I am using fabric glue, when I'm putting fabric to fabric with glue, my go-to 100% is the Quilter Select Fabric Glue Stick. And this is on Becky's supply list as well. So I just want to mention to you that your options are varied of what kind of paper you want to use. And if you want to practice with the freezer paper before you start, a very easy, simple pattern that you could make for yourself, which I just printed out this morning quite easily. This is a square and a square. Just take a piece of freezer paper, even if you have it on a roll, and cut a square of it, say 6 inches square, and then just with a pencil draw. This is a 4-inch finished square, and then you can practice doing this technique. I have a tutorial on my blog, and I'm going to show you how to find that in a few minutes so that you could see whether you like this method. It has the disadvantages that the pieces do come off if you don't hold on to them and don't keep them adhered with the glue, and getting them back together after they've come apart is not fun. It's a challenge. So I just want to mention to you that I will be demonstrating a lot of mine with freezer paper, and Becky's instructions are 100% with the vellum, and the choice is yours what method that you use. Okay. There's plenty of other supplies. The first thing I always do is I put a binder together. This is a 3-ring binder, and I will slip the color picture of my solid print into the front page of the binder. And I have 12, there's dividers, and I use page protectors, and there's one tab for each month. And this is how I keep my things organized. Okay, a lot of the other things that are on the list are basic things. You'll need Scotch tape, transparent kind of tape. Doesn't have to be Scotch brand, transparent tape. And you'll need some painter's tape. My husband loves to buy me office sewing notions at Lowe's. So you'll need some painter's tape. There's some real good reasons for why you would want to use that. One thing that's on her list that I consider absolutely essential is a good pair of tweezers. And these are the Appliquick ergonomic tweezers that Becky recommends. And I wholeheartedly agree with her on that. These are available for sale in the Quilt Show store. They are, the designer of this is a woman from Spain, Rosa Rojas, and she has made wonderful supplies, tools for applique. But these tweezers are very helpful for a lot of things. I've been using them to pull little threads out when I had to unsew something I shouldn't have sewn. Now, the other thing that brings me up is to remind you, when you join the Quilt Show or you renew your membership on the Quilt Show, you are automatically given a 25% off coupon. It is placed in your dashboard under coupons, and you can use it for one entire purchase, all 25% off. It does not cover kits. They are not available for 25% off, and sewing machines. But the basic supplies and all the notions and things that are sold in our Quilt Show store, you can benefit from a 25% off discount. So I'm just mentioning that now because these are not inexpensive tools, but my goodness, this is a terrific little pair of tweezers. Other things that she mentions is, of course, you will have to have sewing thread. My go-to thread is Quilters Select 80 weight, 60 weight. The green line is 60 weight in my top. It's a polyester that's covered in thread or cotton, has a cotton wrap around the outside, and then 80 weight in the bobbin, and it has a little orange strip at the top, so I know which one is which. And this works for Alex Anderson, and it works for me. I can put a tremendous amount of this 80 weight thread on a bobbin, and it lasts a long time. There are a lot of seams in this quilt, and if you use fat, fuzzy thread, you will have some additional challenges to make sure that you get your seam allowances exactly where you want them to be. So these are my two choices, just in a neutral color. Those work really well. Now, there is a little bit of applique in this quilt, very little actually, but there is a little bit. There are circles here. So there's 4 circles in the front, and the middle as well has a circular section in the middle of it. Becky Goldsmith has come up with, her company is Piece of Cake Designs, and she has a method that she uses for applique that uses vinyl overlays. And so some of the supply list items that are on her supply list are vinyl and ultrafine Sharpie, things like that that she uses in her technique for applique. I don't do that technique, so I don't have those things. I used to, and I think I had vinyl, and I think I sold it at one of my house sales that I had a few years ago. So if you have a different method of applique that you use, those are not things that you would absolutely have to go out and buy. And you can't just buy a small piece of vinyl. You end up having to buy like a yard. So wait until you see when and that's coming in month 3, and decide then if you want to have some if you want to make this quilt exactly the way the designer Becky Goldsmith has designed it, then everything that's on the list has a reason to be there. She also does hand applique, and she mentions a sandpaper board for when you're tracing things around. You can buy sandpaper boards in some stores, or you can make your own. This is a clipboard with a piece of sandpaper clipped to it. This is a file folder. This is 2 pieces of sandpaper glued inside. You just want a fine grit sandpaper. When we're tracing around for the circular areas, this having a little bit of a fine grit does a really nice job. Or you can buy a sandpaper board. That's up to you. So let me see if there's anything else that's real important on the list. Those kinds of things. I think I've covered just about everything. She indicates you need markers that you can see on a dark fabric and light fabric. My go-to marking tool is always a mechanical pencil first, if I can see it. There are some fabrics I wouldn't be able to see it on. And then there are yellow pencils and silver pencils and white chalk pencils and things like that. So there's not a lot of marking. There's very little marking, and it's really just in the applique part that I've seen so far. So okay, so while I'm here, I'm going to share my screen and show you some places in case you are new and want to know where you're supposed to be. So let me see if I can get there quickly. Okie dokie, game on. All right. So this is the website for the Quilt Show. So let me go back to the home page. So when you first join in thequiltshow.com, it takes you to this page right here. And what you're interested in for right now, for finding the block of the month, they are under Learn. So we click on Learn. And there it is right there, Game On, designed by Becky Goldsmith. And right now, this is what we have. We have the color picture of the solid kit. We have a color picture mock-up of the prints kit. There's a link to the store. As I've mentioned, the solid kits are going very, very quickly. They're almost sold out. And the print kits they will sell out. They haven't yet, and part of that I think is just because people didn't want to wait until a couple of weeks from now when they become available. But they're coming out soon. There's a link to Becky, and there's a link even to the woman who quilted this, the solid version one. And so there's some, and she's been a guest on the Quilt Show before too. So in not too many, very soon, also on this page will be the fabric selection information, the list of supplies that Becky recommends. They're working on that probably today, even as we speak. So this is the home page for 2026 Game On. Once the first month's pattern is available, and that is going to be December 28th, Becky's show, the 2026 Block of the Month Game On show, will air for the first time December 28th. It's a Sunday. All of our shows start on a Sunday. And the first pattern will be there. So that's when you're going to, and it will be on this page, and you'll just slide down and it says month one. You have to be logged in as a star member to access this. The patterns are not available free to anyone else who is not a star member. So that's how you find it. I get that question all the time. Well, I can't get them. Why can't I get them? You have to be logged in, and you'll know you're logged in because it'll say, welcome Barbara, assuming Barbara's your name. Otherwise, it should have your name there. So that's where it is. This dashboard is where you'd find your coupon. There's a section there on coupon. So that's enough for now. The only other wonderful thing you need to know about is when you click on forum, I am the person that answers all the questions. And so we have a section for Block of the Month, Game On. You just click on that. And we've got just one right now that I posted this the other day talking about today's live. And let's get ready. And this is where people ask me questions and things like that. So I check very frequently, quite a bit of often the first week I check several times a day. So the other thing I'm just going to show you very quickly, and then we're going to move on back to the screen when I can go look for questions, is this is my blog, bbquiltmaker.blogspot.com. We have links to it on the Quilt Show's page for Becky, so you can find it easily, but it's quite easy to find. I have tutorials. The easiest place to find my tutorials is click on tutorials. Imagine that. And sliding on down, I have a tutorial on freezer paper foundation piecing. Yes, I'm showing how to make this, but the process of stitching is the same. So if you want to try that simple little square on a square that I showed you, just draw it out on a piece of freezer paper to try it. This link, it'll take you right to my tutorial on how to do the freezer paper foundation piecing. And you'll understand the process, I think, more than me just trying to tell it to you. So let me go back to the screen here and the web comp. And okay. I don't want this to drag on and on and on, but I do want to go look for your questions in a minute. My most important advice right from the very beginning, and I want everybody to hear this and get in the mind that this is what you have to do. Becky's videos are essential, and they are wonderful. They show you every little step. Her method is very specific. And even if you're a very accomplished foundation paper piecer, her methods are very specific, and you may not do things the way she does. There are some places where we have to backstitch when we add a fabric. There's some where we run right off the outside edge. There are, for month 2, there are 6 pages that have to be taped together, and it's important that you cut those just right and tape them together. Her videos will walk you through the whole thing. I do not have to reinvent the wheel. Her videos are fantastic, and you will want to watch the show that airs December 28th. I'm very anxious to see that. I won't get to see it until you do on the 28th of December. And then the other bit of support that you have besides her videos is me taking care of the forum, and I come live once a month. So the first month live for Game On will be Monday, December 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central, and you do the math for the rest of the time. I think it's 6 p.m. in London. Anyway, I will be here live for that on December 29th, because I know you're eager to get started, and I want to make sure my blog will post on the 28th. My blog posts on Sundays, so I will have a lot of, and my number one warning will be stop, watch the video first, and that's important for you to do. But I will show you different things, and we've covered a lot today of just getting ready. I know one of the questions is going to be about pre-washing. I don't pre-wash fabrics usually, and I don't pre-wash kits probably ever. but I am going to use starch a good bit more on this particular quilt. I don't typically do that, but having just been at Lynn Wilder's retreat out in the Sierra Nevada mountains last week, she is a big starch person, and her students do a lot of starching, and there's a good bit of bias on this. That's all bias right there. So the more that I can have add a little starch to my fabric will be very helpful. So as I get ready to start a month, I take the fabrics that I need for that month and I spray starch and let it dry overnight. I try to remember to do that before I end for the day, and the next day come back in and press it off. They're just laying on my cutting or my ironing surface there, and they don't need much pressing. But so I don't pre-wash, and I am going to do some starch. Let me go look and see what other fabric questions there might be as you're just watching there. So let me find if we've got any. Okay, let me go back to the beginning here. Okay, Galena, Ohio. She's got some snow. It got really cold here. I was very glad to be handed a quilt yesterday at the Quilt of Valor because we were quilt. And we've got links already to the Appliquick tools. Okay, Deborah Holmes says, I've been using this freezer paper method for years. I love it. Best advantage is limiting the amount of paper templates. Absolutely. That's the number one advantage. The number two advantage that I didn't even mention to you is you do not change the stitch length. If you're going to paper piece, then through the paper, you need to lower your stitch length. And it is terrible. Yes, 10 a.m. Pacific time, Kathy. It is awful when you have to take out those tiny stitches. Ask me how I know. So by not having it with the freezer paper, because I'm only sewing through 2 layers of fabric, not paper, I don't have to change the stitch length. If you're sewing through paper, you want to change the stitch length to make it easy to remove the paper. Do we need the kit? No. Karen, you do not need the kit. If you have a lot of fabric, you are good to go. You'll just sit there and figure out. What starch do I use? I have Best Press. There was a new fabric starch I was given at Houston, and I forget the name. I can see it, but I can't think of the name of it. I'll put it in my blog when I write that up. I take liquid starch and mix 50-50 liquid starch and water, and I make a small amount at a time and stick it in a small little squirt bottle and shake it up and use it. Brand starch is best. Cutting instructions tell you do the cutting instructions tell you the orientation to cut the fabric? Do you cut on the lengthwise grain? We cut on the crosswise grain. Typically you're cutting with the fabric. And so that's what that does. I'll answer more about freezer paper is my only way. Dina says, that's it. Hey, Dina, it's the only way to foundation. It takes a little time to learn. I will not kid you about that. That learning, if you're used to sewing through paper, sewing not through the paper is a bit of a challenge. But once you master it, you go, oh my gosh, this is so easy. And yes, I will give you hints on cutting to size. The pattern is very specific what to size. Yes, and you oversize. Absolutely, you have to cut the pieces larger than they need to be. Terrio Magic is another. A lot of people like Terrio Magic and use that as well. So that's a really good thing. And okay, so I don't see any more questions right now. Additional questions are always welcome on the forum. And that's the place to ask questions. Don't send me a private message. If you have a question, somebody else has the same question. Put them there. I will be, once the pattern comes out, and it won't be, as I said, until December 28th, I will have a category, a topic called Month 1, Ask Questions Here. Month 1, Show Your Progress Here, 2 separate topics. Those are the places for you to post your questions and show us what you're doing. We love to see your fabrics. We love to see what everybody's doing. Month 1 is quick. I got done month 1 in 4 or 5 hours. And other than I had already printed the pattern. So let's just say one day. Month 2 is taking a little longer because you can see over there. Okay, that's one corner, and there are 4 corners in this quilt that are made month 2. So it takes a little bit more time. So, okay, I've talked fast. I kind of went into Yankee mode here, trying to get a lot of information. I don't want it to drag on too much. These lives are always available for you to find on YouTube, and then click through. And on our website, you just find, there's a link right there to find the lives that are available. These don't go away. Becky's videos will start December 28th, the same day that the show airs. Here's another bit of a great thing that you can do to really help yourself be successful is find a few friends that want to work on it together. If you've got anybody locally that could that you want to work on it, everybody has to be a member of the Quilt Show. They all have to download their own patterns. You can't share with each other. That's no. But everybody join. And I started a small little group when we started Halo Star Medallion in 2017. And I asked on my little guild group, was anybody interested? I figured 5 or 6 people. At 15 people, I had to say, stop. I don't have room in my house for that many of you to come and watch me sew. And that has become a really great, tight group of women, the Sunday So-and-Sos. So it's just helpful to have somebody else there. You always have access to me on the forum, on the blog. And I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. That's my gift to you. And I will tell you what not to do, which is almost as important as learning what to do. So that's a lot of information in a short period of time. I want to wrap this up for you. Watch it again if you need to. As your kits are coming in, the solid kits, you know what to do. Identify those fabrics. It took a few minutes for me with my cute little teeny paper things. This was a brilliant idea. I'm glad I did that. I printed this before I went to California, and I took the page with me, and I took the fabrics with me. And once we had the reveal last Monday, then I could show it to everybody else there. And I cut all my little swatches up, my little paper swatches, and identified each fabric. So, okay, I am looking forward to Game On. We are going to have a wonderful year. I can't wait to chop into my own fabrics here. And as soon as I get the last corner done for month 2, I'm going to start on my own fabrics for months 1 and 2. And I look forward to spending the next year with you, playing along with Becky Goldsmith and this fabulous design that she's made exclusively for the Quilt Show.